I would like to say good morning to everyone. And my name is Joseph Buckley, Sunday school teacher at Shiloh MB Church in New Mississippi. And I'm trying to teach the Sunday school lesson this morning. And this lesson this morning, let me say a prayer first. Our Father in heaven. Lord, thank you for waking us up this morning and starting us on our way. Our Father, I know all of us couldn't be in your midst this morning in the church for certain circumstances, Lord. Lord, help us with this coronavirus so we can all get back together because, Lord, our church member is our loved one. So, Lord, help us to get back together. And, Lord, help me with this Sunday school lesson this morning. Give me wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of what I'm trying to teach this morning. For thy name's sake, amen. And in this lesson this morning is coming, it's lesson number 8, to be taught April the 19th, 2020. And the title of this lesson is Justice Prevails. And as you see in this lesson, justice will prevail at the end. And this book here, Esther, do not really have an author. Nobody really know who wrote the book. Some say like 4 different people, their name. It said this book is mentioned. It said this book mentioned the Persian king 190 times. Never mentioned God in one. But we know God is in the present. And the king was King Xerxes. Xerxes ruled over 127 provinces. And like I said, the title of this lesson is Justice Prevails. And in the background, the devotional reading is Luke the 19th, 11 to the 26th. 19th chapter, 11 to the 26th verse. Background scriptures, Esther the 3rd, the 5th, and to the 7th. And the printed passage is Esther the 7, 1 through 10. And the key verse, it says, they impaled Haman on the pole he had set up for Mordecai. Then the king fear subsided. And this lesson this morning going start at the first verse here. It said, so the king and Haman went to Queen Esther's banquet. This is the second banquet. They already had one. This is the second on the second day. And it says, it said this is the second banquet, like I say. And said the second verse says, and the king said again unto Esther, on the second day of the banquet of wine, what thy petition, Queen Esther? That's a question. And he said, and it shall be granted to thee. Whatever she was asking for, the king said he would grant this to her. And it said, and what is thy request? And it shall be performed. And it said he was saying even to half of the kingdom. He was willing to give her half of the kingdom. And it said the king knew she had a request. The queen made her request known at the right time. It said, what is thy request? This was the third time the king did that. He already asked her. This is the third time. And it said, my people. Esther was talking about my people. She said, my people. This plea parallel God's message through Moses to Pharaoh, let my people go. That happened almost 1,000 years earlier. And it said, this had to be a shock to the king that anyone would threaten the life of the queen. And said he did not know that Esther was a Jew. And she had never told him, and he had never asked up until now. She first asked him to save her life, and then she asked for the lives of her people. That was the request. And in the third verse, it says, then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. And it says here that the presence of God is in this moment. She chose her word carefully to find favor with the king, and said, I'm going to jump too fast on other verse, I'm sorry. Went from the second to the third on that request. Let me read it again. It said, the third verse, it said, this had to be a shock to the king that anyone would threaten the life of Queen Esther. So just going back on the third verse, I jumped to the other verse. And it says, he had not known that Esther was a Jew. She had never told him, and he had never asked her up until now. She first asked him to save her life, and then she asked for the life of the people. Now I'm back on track with my lesson here. And the third verse saying here, the fourth verse saying, Father, we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed. So they were being sold as slaves so they could be destroyed. And we'll get out to the lesson why, he wants Haman wanted all the Jews to be destroyed. It said to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we have been sold for bondsman and bondwoman, I have held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. It says she is pleading her cause or reason to the king. And it says here, talking about to destroy, slain, to perish, recount in exact language, Haman decree. It said what they want to do was to destroy them. It said to kill, annihilate. So, kill, annihilate means to destroy, to take everything. And it said the king possibly still had no idea that what she was speaking, he did not write the edict to kill all Jews. Haman had written the edict. So the King Xerxes saying, I didn't write this. Haman, he found out Haman wrote it. So Haman had written the edict and sealed it with the king's signet ring, like the king had done. He had wanted it done. So she actually believed the king had sold their lives to the wicked Haman. And the fifth verse, that was the fifth verse, right? No, the fourth verse. So the fifth verse, it says, then the king, King Xerxes answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he and where is he? And durst presume in his heart to do so. And he said, King Xerxes, queen asked Esther, who is he? Where is he? The man who had dared to do a such thing, to kill him, And he said, Queen Esther pleaded her case. God is working. The king took the bait. And it says here, it said, I'm saying it again, saying, who is he? That's what he's saying. The king said, who is he? He questioned him. And said, and where is he? Who is the man? And where does he live? And it said, the king still not aware that this was connected with the edict. He had asked Esther who would dare to kill the queen. Going on to the sixth verse here. The sixth verse says, and Esther said, the adversary and enemy is the wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. He done got scared now. and so the Queen Esther identified the enemy and pointed him out. Haman went from confident to afraid before the king and the queen. And it says that Haman honor had quickly turned to humiliation because the king had honored him, Haman. Now he didn't turn to humiliation and then to horror. And so the king had not even suspected Haman to do something like this. And said, Haman suddenly remembered what the wise man had told him would happen to him. Esther called Haman an adversary of the king. Okay, go on to the second verse. It says here, and the king arose from the banquet of the wine in his reps. He was mad. The king then got mad because he didn't find out somebody was trying to kill, Haman, what Haman was doing. And it said, into the palace guard. See, he got up, he was so mad, he got up and he went out to the palace guard. And Haman stood up to make a request for his life to Esther, the queen. After the king had went out to the guard, Haman got up and he begged the queen for his life now. And it says here, for he saw that there was evil determined against him to the king. And it says here, it said, the table is turned on Haman. Now Haman is scared. It said the plotter of the injustice is now the victim of his own doing. And it says here, not being able to bear the sight of Haman. He couldn't even stand it now. He said, who had done such an inquiry both to himself and such injury to both himself and to the queen. It said, and Haman stood up to make a request for his life to Esther the queen. And he stood up, not like I say, he begged the queen. Now he said, hoping that her tender heart might wrap up on to show mercy on him, and to prevail on to entreat the king to spare his life, and the request he made in the most submissive manner. And it says here, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. And said the king was not quick to kill anyone. And it said he walked into the garden, possibly to try to sort out things while, he think, what I'm gonna do. Sort out things, and he really wanted to kill Haman for trying to kill Esther. Haman caught him going into the garden, and he began to plead for his life to be spared. He recognized the king would kill him if Esther did not stop him. And to go on to the 8th verse, it says, what that 8? No, 8th verse. So then the king returned out of the palace garden into the palace of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed or couch, whatever, where Esther was. He done fell on the bed where she was. And he said, the king he forced the queen also before me in the house. As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. So you know what's going to happen now. The king didn't come back in the house, and Haman laying up in the bed on the couch. That made him think something different too. You understand what I'm saying? So it says here, all that injustice and evil of Haman is exposed. All of it. And it says here, in the 9th verse, it said, and Harbonah went off the chambermaid. They call them eunuchs. The eunuchs was something like the queen, to protect the queen. And to do whatever the queen wanted them to do. It was the chamber. Went off the chamber and said before the king, behold, also the gallows. The gallows was 50 feet high. and 50 cubic high. So you were looking at something like 75 feet high. It said, which Haman had made for Mordecai. He done made it for Mordecai. And we know what happened between him and Mordecai. We want to slay Mordecai because he wouldn't bow down to him. And that's why he really wanted to destroy it. It said, which has spoken good for the matter. It said, which Haman had made, talking about the scalp, Haman had made for Mordecai. It said, who has spoken good. See, Mordecai had spoken good for the king and standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him there. So it said, he said, the pole set up to kill Mordecai is now you to do what? Hang Haman. He set a trap and fell into himself. So that's why we shouldn't set traps or try to destroy, do something to somebody else, because you don't really know. You might be setting a trap for yourself. And it says here, it said, Mordecai who had spoken good. Yeah, that's right, yeah, spoken good. Haman heard the third capital offense charged against him. One, he manipulated the king in planning to kill the queen and the queen's people. Manipulated. And said, two, he was perceived as accosting the queen. Three, he was planning to execute a man whom the king had just greatly honored for extreme loyalty, because he knew Mordecai was loyal to him. It said, the very gallows that Haman had built to kill Mordecai on would be where he would hang. And so Haman had sown the wind and would not reap the windfall, the whirlwind. He had sown the wind, but he would not reap the the whirlwind. He said, hey, Harbona reminded the king that Mordecai had saved his life and that Haman had wanted to kill him. The prophecy of the wise man had come true. In verse 10, it says, so they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. And, he had put it in his house, he had it in, wherever he was living. It said, then the king raptured, mad or whatever, purified. The king was purified. He said, they hang Haman, the ultimate expression in justice. You got to go to Psalms, to see that. It said, Haman's life had been wicked. He lived by violence. He died by violence. He had wanted to be famous, a famous man, and he died a famous man. And it said, Haman died on the gallows he built for Mordecai. And the king rapture succeeded after Haman had paid the price for his crime, the crime of his life. So I'd like to, hopefully everyone got something out of this message this morning, and I'd like to thank my pastor for letting me be able to teach this lesson. Thank you.